Hi guys, back once again. It's been a month or so since my last video, but this is the first chance I've had. I've picked up a few things, and bizarrely the majority of them are actually new releases, as opposed to second-hand, which isn't always the case with my records. So we'll just dive straight into it. Hope everyone's fine. Enjoying all the interactions on Instagram. It's great fun. So anyway, I picked up, quite often if I'm buying things off eBay, I'll wait. If I'm looking for an album, I'll wait till I find a seller that has the album I want plus some other things, just to get them bundled together. It takes the edge off the postage a bit. So this kind of happened with this seller, and this was one of the items he had, which is a collection of Blossom Toes. I've not had a chance to listen to this yet. It's a reissue that came out on the Decal label, which is one of those. It's a kind of reissue label I collect. They reissued all the 13th Floor Elevators stuff. In fact, all the international artists things, which is why I started collecting them. But they're normally pretty good. So yeah, Blossom Toes collection. It's a double album, so I'm looking forward to listening to that. I'll probably listen to it tonight. But a couple of weeks ago I actually sold my speakers, so this house is speaker free at the moment, so I'm having to listen to everything with my headphones. I have my good stereo, but it isn't here yet. Still trying to find space for it. But anyway, like I said, got that Blossom Toes, and he was selling two other things that I wanted. One which was this album, which I hadn't seen before, by Roy St. John, and it's called Immigration Declaration, by Roy St. John. This was released on the Virgin subsidiary Caroline, and it's pretty good. I love that label. It's another label that I collect, and this was one I hadn't even seen before. But it's pretty good, kind of singer-songwriter stuff. There's some interesting tracks on it. It was released in '75, so it had the obligatory kind of reggae-styled number. But yeah, there's some nice kind of pedal steel guitar on this as well, which is always good. As much as I don't like country, I kind of pedal steel, I'm a bit of a sucker for it. And the third item that he had was this album by the Rascals, which I've wanted for a while. It's one of their classic albums. It's in not bad shape, really, for what I paid for it. It's pretty good. And importantly, it was on the lovely Plum Atlantic label. Again, it's not had the chance to listen to this yet. I'll probably give it a spin tonight. So those were the three second-hand items I bought. I also got this mug actually the other day. Records. yeah, so firstly, I picked up this, which is Beach Boys Good Vibrations. This was a 12-inch that came out. Was it an anniversary of Good Vibrations being released? I think I did show this last video, maybe. Has this little poster and is on kind of cool swirly vinyl. Maybe I just showed this on Instagram. I'm getting confused between the two now, which is no help. But yeah, it was a Beach Boys item, so I bought it. I picked up this, which is another new release, or newish. Yeah, wasn't second hand. This is the latest PJ Harvey album, the Hope 6 Demolition Project, which sounds similar to Let England Shake, but I don't think it's as strong an album. Still good. I mean, PJ Harvey doesn't really churn out rubbish, but maybe it's the topic. But yeah, if you like PJ Harvey, this is certainly one you shouldn't miss. But not as good as Let England Shake. And another female artist, Bjork. I haven't ever bought any of Bjork's albums on vinyl before, which is a surprise really, because she's pretty great. But the local record shop here was having a sale, and this was in there, so I could not resist it. This is Vulcanura Strings. I think Vulcanura was her most recent album, and this is a kind of completely stripped down version of with just her and orchestra. It has this cool kind of die cut sleeve, but this is just really beautiful. You can imagine Bjork's vocals and small orchestra, basically. Well worth getting. I mean, I got this pretty cheap, but in hindsight, I'd have paid the full price for this, I think. Definitely worth grabbing. It actually makes me want to buy the regular version of this album, because there's not one that I've heard, to be honest. So I might buy that just to see the difference, because the string versions are great. And finally, I picked this up, which is the most recent Flaming Lips album. I have opened it and played this. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna. I managed to get it slid back into its cellophane. This was the coloured vinyl version that came with the 7-inch single. There was a standard version that was probably half the price, but I don't mind paying this for a band that I really enjoy. I think the standard version didn't have the 7-inch, so this is cool, and it's a good album. The usual kind of mix of kind of freaked out stuff. I'm not going to say it's their strongest album, but there's definitely some great stuff on this. And actually, reminds me of I was watching a review recently. As many of you will probably know, I'm a big Flaming Lips fan, and I've noticed recently over the last few years they've collaborated quite a lot with Miley Cyrus, which has raised some eyebrows, should we say. And the first stuff I heard was their version of Sergeant Pepper, which she featured on, and I was actually really surprised. And she's, I think she's done some other things. And then recently, Miley Cyrus actually released a whole album. I think it's about an hour and a half long, and it's Miley Cyrus and her Dead Pets. But the Dead Pets are actually the Flaming Lips that she used as a backing band, and it's been released as a download only album. Well, I'd heard there's a very famous music reviewer. I say famous. He has a blog, but he's glasses, bald. I can't remember what his name was, and he absolutely slated it. He said it was horrendous. But I listened to it, and the first track is poor. I was almost like, well, I don't want to listen to this. But I listened to the rest of it, and it's actually really, really good. I don't know whether it's ever going to get a physical release. I'm kind of fingers crossed. I'm hoping that for Record Store Day, at some point in the future, they might decide to release it as a box set. 'Cause it'll obviously have to be a. They might be able to squeeze it onto a double album, but really it'd be better if it was 2 or 3, probably 3, maybe even 4 records. They could do like they did with the Zyreka box set or something. So yeah, I never thought I'd hear myself saying I wanted a Miley Cyrus album, but there we go. Stranger things have happened. So yeah, so if anybody hears anything about that happening, or in the future if it comes out in Record Store Day and it's only in the States, I don't know. I'll maybe have to get somebody to snag it for me. But yeah, there we go. So that's it. It's coming on 13 minutes. That's probably long enough for you to endure my waffling. Hope everyone's fine. Yeah, and take care.